Week 5 of the IHSA football season signifies the halfway point of the season and a pivotal point as to where the rest of the season will take you. Tonight we have two historic Mid-Illini programs who both want a mid-season win. The Morton Potters are 4-0 and looking to lock up playoff eligibility, while a new-look Pekin team looks to rebound after 2 straight losses. Does the Mid-Illini race get more interesting, or will both teams go in different directions? It's the Dragons and the Potters here on Clutch Sports Media. And good evening, everyone. I'm Jonathan Michael here alongside Latif Love. Latif, it should be a good game tonight. I think it's going to be closer than people think. But the story right now is it's a little wet here before kickoff.
Yep, and it is wet here before kickoff, a little droomy weather, but I think that'll lead to more running game. We know both of these teams like to run the ball, and so it's going to be a physical matchup tonight. I think that's the one thing we should be looking for. I think it will be a lot closer than people would think. People think maybe a blowout, but I think depending on how it is, especially going into halftime, it's going to be a lot closer than what people expect.
Certainly, and for Pekin, they're going to have a big home crowd here at Pekin Memorial Stadium tonight. There's always lots of support for the Dragons. They'll be wanting a big win. Let's start, though, with Morton. Latif coming in 4-0. They were kind of the preseason dark horse in the Mid-Illini, and they're no more dark horse anymore. 4-0 start for them. They've beaten some really good teams as well.
Yeah, they beat some really good teams last week against Metamora, who has a good team. Beat them for about 45-19 or something like that. So a very dominating win. Dark horse coming to the season, yes, but they had some good teams in the past, and they're looking to get back to state playoff status.
Kind of shades of that 2021 team that went all the way to the state semifinals. Morton's been doing it this year via their running game, starting with Shondon Buffington and also Brett Michael chipping in as well.
Yeah, and I spoke to Shondon in an interview earlier this season. He used to be a quarterback on the JV team, switched from quarterback to running back, and he's been dominating. It's been very, very exciting to see. Leading the Mid-Illini in rushing so far this season, so his breakout is the main reason for this team's success.
Certainly is. Buffington is the Mid-Illini leading rusher right now with 830 yards. It's going to be a tough one to stop tonight. On defense, though, Morton's also been pretty formidable. Haven't really pitched any shutouts so far, but Brett Michael, their senior linebacker, has been wreaking havoc all over the place on defense.
Yeah, speaking of Brett Michael, he also is in the running game as well. But on defense, I think that's where he has his biggest impact. He has a few interceptions, a few forced fumbles, a lot of sacks this year. He's sideline to side, disrupting the passing game and the running game throughout this entire season. So he'll be big tonight, and Pekin's going to have to stop him tonight as well.
Certainly do. Pekin's going to have a lot on their hands, but they're looking for a win after 3 straight losses, 2 of them being shutouts. The offense looking to get going. It's a new-look group. The Dragons lost a lot of seniors. The big storyline coming into this game, but again, we were talking, Latif, Pekin is a 7A school. They have a large team with lots of talent, and they still have lots of seniors.
Yeah, they still have lots of seniors, but they didn't really play last year. We saw like Kanye Tyler, one of the biggest losses they had. They lost a lot of talent, but this roster still has some talent on it. They just have to move the ball down the field, make big plays, get ahead of the sticks. Not a lot of penalties has a really big emphasis for them in this game. So as long as they're able to do that, try to win the line of scrimmage battle, then they'll be fine tonight.
Certainly a big key for Pekin, though, Latif, and also for Morton as well. This game is probably going to be decided in the trenches, especially given the conditions as well. Pekin's offensive line and defensive line have to come in big, especially after the Dragons gave up 7 sacks last week. They couldn't protect Luke Goss very well.
Yeah, I think the biggest way for them to be able to protect their quarterback is to get the running game going, make them respect their passing game a little bit, and they'll be the way they'll able to protect their quarterback. In previous weeks, they've ran the ball a lot, but it hasn't been nearly successful as you would want it to be. And so teams have been able to load the box and pressure the quarterback a lot.
We'll see what happens. Tonight should be a great game between the Morton Potters and the Pekin Dragons. They'll be coming live and your way here on CIProud.com. And we are live now at Pekin Memorial Stadium right in time as the Pekin Dragons take the field, running through a big inflatable dragon. They're running through it with so much ferocity that things almost falling over. It's collapsing on them. Oh my, what a scene already here in Pekin. The hometown Dragons are here. The crowd is fired up. Not the biggest crowd we've seen here, Latif. I think the weather can probably play a little bit of a factor in that. And take a look at the Class 5A poll, Latif. Morton is not in the top 10, notably. Although, even though they're 4-0, they've beaten a lot of good teams, such as the Muhammad Seymour team. They were in the top 10. Rochelle was receiving votes in Class 4A. Then Metamora was also receiving votes in Class 5A last week when they beat them. So, no love for the Pirates in the AP poll right now. You got to feel like maybe this is the one where they feel like maybe a win here will get them in the top 10.
Maybe it will. You know, they haven't really received as much respect as they would have liked up until this point, but they have beat a few good opponents. They have a few games coming up later throughout the season that will definitely get up some top 10 votes. So if they can get over those humps, then they will definitely be in top 10 contention.
Let's take a look at what happened last week for both of these teams. Well, Morton had a big win over Metamora, 45-19. That game it was 10-6 at one point, and then Morton's offense scored 25 straight to win. And then at Pekin, they were shut out 35-0. There's a slight typo on the graphic there. But they only got 92 total yards of offense. So they'll be looking to get their offense going. And the winner of the Academy of Screen Printing and Awards, the coin toss, the Potters won the toss and deferred. Pekin will receive. Back deep for Pekin, I should say. It's Ramez Watson and Connor Watson. We're away. Kicker Cooper Scold slips on the surface. You may see a lot of that tonight. It's Martin with it, up across the 25, up about to the dives across the 32, and that's where Pekin will start. Let's take a look at Pekin's offensive start. Brought to you by Bob Grimm Chevrolet.
Luke Goss, senior, quarterback.
Elijah Hart, senior, running back.
Brock Lavin, senior, wide receiver.
John Richmond, senior, wide receiver.
Ramez Watson, senior, receiver.
Connor Martin, senior, receiver.
Dalton Sturch, junior, left tackle.
Braden Sullivan, junior, left guard.
Blaine Thomas, senior, center.
Hunter Lamberson, junior, right guard.
Jace Hackman, senior, right tackle.
And the first play of the game for Pekin is a run right up the middle for Elijah Hart. You saw him there as one of the starters. Latif, he's kind of coming into his own now. He's getting more playing time and coming back from a little bit of injury. Got a lot of carries last week.
He had a good game last week, one of the few bright spots for the Pekin offense last week, and that's a good start to a great drive.
So it'll be 2nd and 2 and he is going nowhere. Pile drived by the Morton defense. That was Zane Reiber, number 44 in white, the linebacker for them, making the stop. That will make it a 3rd down and short. Line to gain is about the 41.
Yeah, one of the big things we talked about for Pekin is that they have to get short 3rd downs, not get behind the sticks, and so that big 1st down run set them up for a 3rd down.
Give up the middle. It's going to be close. Hand off to Hart. Flag flies in. We'll await the call. They'll be holding on the Dragon, so that'll move them back. Morton will accept the penalty. Interesting note tonight, Latif. I don't know if you were here yet or not, but Pekin's assistant athletic director came in and said that the refs were supposed to be wearing mics that the whole stadium would be able to hear. It's like you hear in the NFL. Maybe not quite working right now. Couldn't quite hear him in the booth, but the hold moves them back. And you mentioned, Latif, Pekin can't have penalties tonight.
Yeah, they can't have penalties, can't get behind the chains. Morton is great at getting off the field on 3rd down, and especially in the long distance situations.
Goss to throw. He finds Watson in room to move. Watson is up close to the 1st down marker. He's got it across. What a play from Luke Goss to Ramez Watson, the senior receiver who only had 1 catch last week. He's matched that number already.
Yeah, he's one of the players coach said that could possibly break out this week. Expecting a lot from him. So it's great to see him get going on the first drive. They need that play desperately. Couldn't come out with a 3 and out on the first drive.
Certainly, Pekin has to start quick. They didn't do so against Washington. That's why they got behind. Handoff goes to Martin on the end around, and wrapping him up is number 22. That's Trey Erickson, the senior linebacker who stepped up big time recently.
Yep, and the linebackers are the biggest part of Morton's defense. Great job reading the play right there. They're really the backbone of this defense, and it was allowed them to be so elite this season.
Exactly, Latif. And, you know, I was talking with head coach Adam O'Neill this week. He said their other starting linebacker, who we mentioned, Brett Michael, he's been so good that offenses have started running away from him. So keep an eye on number 23 in white. He's going to be near the bottom of your screen. Now he's showing blitz. They run away from him. Indeed, give to Frankie Warfield. He's up to the 39, and they'll get about 2 back, forcing the 3rd and long.
Yeah, and if they continue to run away from Brett, that'll allow the other linebackers to get a lot of action and a lot of, you know, attention from the offense, which can benefit them in some way, you know, taking all that attention away from Brett.
Certainly. As we get set here for a 3rd and long, just under 10 minutes to play. Glad you're with us here on CIProud.com tonight. Luke Goss being quarterback, looking down the field, and nice play on defense. That was Silas Steffen, the sophomore safety. Credit him with a 3rd down stop, and it'll be 4th and long, and we'll probably see a Pekin punt.
Yeah, the incompletion right there from the quarterback, but I like how he went through his reads right there. I think his first read was probably the flat, but then he got to second read in the middle of the field. Didn't complete the pass, but I like to see the progression from him.
Goss, the new starter for Pekin. Lots of new starters. We'll get more into that later. Goss is also the punter for Pekin. As back deep to return for Morton. Looks like it's Julian Alexander. The juniors had a nice year. That one is popped up, and it looked like it may have touched off of Martin at the 32. They're going to say it doesn't, and down at the 32. So with that, let's take a look at Morton's offensive starters, brought to you by Bob Grimm Chevrolet.
Jude Hart, senior, quarterback.
Sean Buffington, junior, running back.
Noah Losi, senior, fullback.
GB Kruzik, senior, slot receiver.
Clint Teeter, senior, wide receiver.
Zane Reiber, senior, tight end.
Dennis Strakup, junior, left tackle.
Kyler Myers, senior, left guard.
Luke Benders, senior, center.
Tyler Prey, senior, right guard.
Baylor Wilkinson, senior, right guard.
Cooper Skold, senior, kicker.
And those are Morton's offensive starters, and offense that is averaging just over 37 points per game this year. Dynamic with Shondon Buffington and Brett Michael in the backfield, and a couple good receivers as well. Keep an eye on GB Kruzik, number 11. And it'll be 1st and 10 from the 31, 4 wide receiver set. It's Kruzik at the top of your screen, and Teeter, Alexander, and Preston Berg at the bottom. Alexander in motion, and it looks like he'll keep it. Nothing doing there. Great stop from the Pekin D line. That was Hudson Nutter being one of the first in there. And let's take a look at the tail of the tape, the points per game so far this year. Latif Morton averaging 37.3 on offense, giving up 18 points per game. Pekin, those 2 shots have hurt them, at least in terms of average. They're only averaging 8.3 per game while allowing 29.
Yeah, they have a tough go at it. 1-3 to start off the season, but they played a lot of good teams. I think like we mentioned earlier, Pekin is definitely a better team than what their record shows.
They played a lot of really good teams, including in the non-conference, Belleville East, who's one of the best teams in Class 8A. Give up the gut goes to Buffington. Stumbles through. Another tackle there by Nutter. That'll make it 3rd and long. So, Latif, just like we talked about, Pekin forced Morton to get behind the chains. Now they're looking at about a 3rd and 7 or so from their own 33.
Yeah, it's a great way defensively, especially your defensive line, to start the game. Handling the running game, and you got to see they got to pass the ball right now. That's what you want Morton to do.
5 wide receivers for the senior quarterback, Jude Hart. We'll see. He's mobile. You're going to see it here. And he's running past the sticks and completes to Clint Teeter. Latif, I thought that may have been an illegal forward pass. Hart rolled out a lot but found his man.
Yeah, great way to get out the side of the pocket, evade the pressure, keep your eyes on the field, and deliver a strike.
Clint Teeter, a 2-way player for the Potters. Lots of players on both these teams play both offense and defense. Teeter had 3 catches for 21 yards last week. As Hart gives, no, he's keeping it. Jude Hart, he's got lots of grass with only Elijah Hart to beat. And Jude wins the Battle of the Hearts into the end zone, and Morton strikes first.
There is a flag on the field. I want to see what that is before I break down that play. Let's see what it is.
And it is going to be on Pekin. So the touchdown stands. How about Jude Hart? It was Jude versus Elijah. Don't think there's any relation there, but Morton's quarterback showing how mobile he is. A long scramble.
And talk about having depth in that backfield. Like, how dangerous does that make you, having Shawnee Buffington in there, having Jude Hart in the backfield? Like, what kind of offense does that provide you with that dual threat ability, with, big play explosive ability from your quarterback and running back?
That's certainly the longest run of the season by far for Jude Hart. He had 65 on the year coming in, as Cooper Scold's PAT is up and good. That'll make it 7-0 Morton. But on the season, Latifi came in 13 rushes for 65 yards and a touchdown. I think that one was very close, if not exactly 65 yards. So Jude Hart put up the yards, and he's got Morton on the board early. Although you got to think, you like what you saw out of Pekin's defense there, except for that one big play.
Yep, they really got Morton into a 3rd and long situation, gave up the pass the first down when Jude Hart extended the play and made that strike down the middle of the field. I hope they stay motivated, take what they can out of that possession, because if they can continue to get them behind the sticks, Morton wasn't that good on 3rd down last week. That'd be a recipe for success.
Let's take a real quick look at the Morton scoring drive, brought to you by Upstream Auto Group. They go 4 plays, 78 yards, and just 1 minute and 12 seconds. Capped off by the long touchdown run from Jude Hart. So Pekin will have a chance to respond. Again, we'll see if Scold can keep his footing. He slipped and fell on the opening kickoff. This natural grass surface here, Pekin may include some slip and falls tonight. There's going to be a false start on the Potters, so they will bring it back. Dane Kaser, the kicker, now for the Potters, handling the kickoff, which will now come from the 35-yard line, where it looks like there's maybe even more mud, more condensation than usual. Precipitation was the word I was thinking about. I was going to say perspiration, but then I realized that was sweat. I don't think there's that much sweat in the field yet. Still in the first quarter. Kick is away from Kaser, and Connor Martin takes it in from about the 11. He's across the 25, across the 30. Pekin's Martin is up. He's still on his feet across midfield, down to the 43, and another flag is down. We'll see what this is, Latif, but another great play by the Dragons to fire up this home crowd.
And we've seen 2 explosive plays start this game up for them. Let's see if they can capitalize on that big return. They've gotten some good plays on offense so far. They just have to finish the drive and even the score.
We'll see what that flag is. And it's going to be a hold on Pekin, so unfortunately this one is going to be coming back a bit for the Dragons. As let's take a look real quick at the Morton defensive starters, brought to you by Bob Grimm Chevrolet.
Zane Reiber, senior, defensive end.
Connor Wagner, senior, defensive tackle.
Ian Collins, junior, defensive end.
Paul Weeks, junior, linebacker.
Brennan Rasty, senior, linebacker.
Brett Michael, senior, linebacker.
Trey Erickson, senior, linebacker.
GB Kruzik, senior, corner.
Silas Steffen, sophomore, cornerback.
Cole Rinkenberger, junior, safety.
Clint Teeter, senior, safety.
And there are your Morton defensive starters, and Latif, looks like the earlier theme of this game is going to be flags. Another one on Pekin, that's a false start.
Yeah, Pekin is shooting himself in the foot with penalties right now. A holding call took away that long run that would have set them up nicely with good field position to start their drive off. And then another call on this drive set them even farther back within the chains. They got to be disciplined if they hope to beat this Morton team.
That they have to do, and again, it's a very new-look squad. And lots of players that weren't starting last year behind some great talent. So we'll get a look here. Luke Goss on 1st and 15. Hand up the gut to Elijah Hart. Does a nice job getting back close to the original line of scrimmage, but not quite. We'll bring up a 2nd and long.
Moves the ball back to the 30-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Dragons.
It's going to be a 3 wide receiver set for the Dragons. Brock Lavin, John Richmond, and Ramez Watson. With, looks like Warfield in the background. Goss looks poised in the pocket. Nice throw to Martin, just not quite. Throw is a little bit low and a little far right.
Yeah, and I don't know if he saw it, but he did have Peyton Hess beat his defender down the field. Got to make the progression. He was wide open, so a big miss right there.
Certainly, and Latif, real quick, let's look at our keys to victory for both teams. For Morton, it was convert third downs, like you said. They only were 5 of 13 last week against Metamora, and also cause chaos.
Well, they've caused chaos so far in this game, peeking behind the sticks a lot and rushing the passer a lot, making it a lot harder.
They can't cause chaos there. Instead, it's Pekin doing so. Pass complete to Peyton Hess, and another flag down. We'll take a look at it. But Pekin has already gotten twice near midfield. They barely even got near midfield at all last week against Washington. As we'll see what this call is. The referees are confirming down on the wet playing surface here tonight. And that'll go against Pekin. So another time that they're moving back. Real quick, going back to also Pekin's keys for the game. Latif, you saw plug the gaps and make them late. You got to stop the run and keep Morton behind schedule.
Yeah, stopping the run for this Morton team is easier said than done for sure, but they've done a good job of stopping Shannon Buffington, but Jude Hart has shut all that down by getting outside the pocket and making plays.
Another flag down, except this one is on Pekin. You don't see an offensive offside too much, so if you have a little bingo card at home, and at this point on the CSM broadcast season, it feels like we should probably start making bingo cards ourselves. And it's going to be an offensive offsides. It'll be a 1st and 15 now for Pekin from their own 42. 4 wide receivers for Goss, and Hart to his right. Goss hands off to Hart, right up the middle. A tough run, but not tough enough for Zane Raber. He caught him like a wasp and said, hey, once I get you, you're not going any further.
Great job right there by Martin, gang tackling, finding the ball, hitting, and wrapping up. A good thing about this Morton defense, they don't miss a lot of tackles. They're very good at tackling. So that's very important for a good defense, and I'm glad to see that so disciplined while tackling.
2nd and 15 for the Dragons. Goss looking, he's got room to run. He's up near midfield, takes a hit. Hangs on to the football out at the 49. And if you're a Pekin fan, Latif, you're probably bracing when he was about to get hit there, but nice job hanging on.
Yeah, you usually don't want your quarterback taking those big of a hits, but good job getting more yards than what he would have. And I like how when he read the field, saw wasn't anything open, he took off and ran for a gain.
Goss has looked a lot more mature, a lot more comfortable than he did last week against Washington. Goss drops back. It'll be a screen pass, and no one's home. He was looking for Frankie Warfield, his running back. And they'll bring up another Pekin 4th down. So 2 times tonight already, Latif. The Dragons show good signs on offense, but ultimately the laundry on the field is what is bringing them back. And it'll be Goss out to punt. Potential spot here with a good bounce, maybe a couple more good rolls. Could pin Morton deep in their own territory.
And those penalties have been costly. You can't make mistakes like that against a Morton team that's this good. Hopefully they can get a defensive stop. I think it's very pertinent at this point in the game.
Punt is fielded by Alexander, trying to find the edge, and he does. He's got some room to run. He's got some speed, too. A convoy of blockers for Alexander. Did he lose the football? Looked like he either may have or he got tripped up. Chaos down by the Morton sideline. May have just gotten leg tackled A Pekin player is down. Looks like Morton's going to keep the ball. And real quick, we'll take a look at the Pekin defensive starters brought to you by Bob Grimm Chevrolet.
Logan Raby, Jr., DN.
Leonard Erksleben, Jr., defensive tackle.
Blaine Thomas, Senior, nose guard.
Jay Sackman, Senior, defensive end.
Isaac Thomas, Senior, middle linebacker.
Hudson Utter, Junior, linebacker.
John Richmond, Senior, cornerback.
Ramez Watson, Senior, defensive back.
Connor Martin, Senior, safety.
Heath Hawkins, Senior, strong safety.
Those are your defensive starters for Pekin, brought to you by Bob Grimm at Chevrolet. And real quick, Latif, let's look at our players to watch tonight. You know, Sean in Buffington is kind of the obvious choice. We tried to go a different route. Jude Hart was our player to watch tonight, and it turns out that pick ended up being pretty good. He's so dynamic with his legs. You already saw that. Landon Erksleben is our player to watch, though, on the Pekin defensive line.
Yeah, Landon is big tonight, especially because his defensive line needs to contain Morton's rushing attack. Inexperienced defensive and offensive line had a lot of roster changeover from last season when they made that state playoff run. But they are getting experience, and no other good team in the Mid-Illini took gain experience against but Morton.
Certainly, and you know, Pekin, their schedule so far has just been stacked as the injured Dragon. That is Isaac Thomas. Not a good sign for them. He's a key part, their middle linebacker, their captain of their defense and leading tackler with 29. Wasn't able to put weight on his foot coming off the field as Hart finds Buffington, and he's going nowhere. Great play again by the Pekin defensive line. Logan Raby, Landon Erksleben, Blaine Thomas, and Jace Hackman combining for the good stop there.
Yep, and Pekin defense has been playing well so far. It is 7-0. They just have to finish drives. They can't let up big plays on third down. Has been their biggest problem so far this season.
2nd and 11 for Morton in Pekin territory. 3 wide receivers at the top. They all move in motion. It's Kruzik, 11, Teeter, 80, and Alexander, 17. Handoff goes to Buffington, and he's again wrapped up. That was Jace Hackman, I believe. Another big tackle for the senior, one of the few returning starters on this Pekin defense from last year.
That was a great job finding the ball, keeping Shondon under wraps. We know he's elusive. He can break off tackles. So gang tackling right there is the best option. It looks like they've been coached up really well so far coming into this game.
Head coach Doug Nutter for Pekin said it was a big week of practice for them, but he was pleased with how they responded. Hart rolls out, tries to find his man. He's got Alexander past the sticks and inbounds. Nice job there, finding his junior receiver, who is not a starter, but is their leading receiver so far this year.
Yeah, and that's probably the most used route I see in high school football, especially when you're rolling out a comeback route. It's easy to connect with your receiver near the boundary line. So good play call for the Morton head coach.
Adam O'Neill in his first season with the Pirates as a flag is thrown. Boy, if these referees are getting paid per flag thrown tonight, they'll be retiring early. It's been a well-roughed game so far, not taking anything away from them. Just a little bit of sloppy play here tonight, but also sloppy conditions as well. 1st and 5 now for the Potters. Hart finds the screen, finds Alexander, gets a block from Teeter, and before he's wrapped up by Nutter down near the 20, or I should say the 16. Should be good enough for a Morton first down, but we'll be close.
We're seeing a lot of diversity in Morton's offensive attack tonight. Usually a very, very run-heavy team, but Pekin's doing a good job of attacking their running backs, attacking the line of scrimmage. Linebackers are playing well, so they're opening up in the passing game. Like to see that for their chances going further into the season.
Certainly is. Hart again, another screen to Kruzik. He's wrapped up quickly. That was Ramez Watson in hot pursuit. Brings him down. It'll be 2nd and long. You said it, Latif. You know, if Pekin can force Morton to beat them through the air again, that's not to take anything away from Jude Hart, who's having a great season so far, throwing for a lot of touchdowns, has 5 interceptions, but Adam O'Neill said a lot of those were 50-50 balls. They weren't bad throws. He said there's only one of those 5 were actually bad throws, but obviously their strength has been on the ground, but Buffington has been tough sledding so far.
Yeah, I like Pekin's chances in the game if they force Jude Hart in this offense to throw the ball. if they do a good job attacking the running game.
And they'll do so here, but again, Hart out of the pocket finds Kruzik. His senior wide receiver came into today with 7 catches for 132 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's increased his yardage total in each game, Latif. He started the year with a goose egg in their win against I should say, Muhammad Seymour. Then had 19 in their win against Rochelle, 48 in week 3 against Canton, and then 65 in week 4 against Metamora.
And that just shows he getting comfortable in the offense. They are a run-heavy offense, so you won't get a lot of looks from your wide receiver. But I can see and I can tell that they're opening up this offense a lot more this season.
Hart gets close to the end zone. He is in, and a late flag flies. Some extracurriculars going on. For the moment, Morton leads by 2 scores. We'll investigate this flag. By my count, I'd say we've seen already close to 10, and we still have over 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Looks like this will be a flag that was thrown after the whistle. Touchdown is the call, and a personal foul on Morton's offense. So that'll probably will move back. This looks like Pekin may be electing to have that 15 yards from the personal foul tacked onto the ensuing kickoff. Powders line up for the 2-point conversion. And they have Buffington in the Wildcat. Michael, the man in motion. Buffington, the former quarterback, rolls out, finds his man. He's got Alexander for the 2-point conversion. Latif, we first found out about it when you wrote a story on him, but Sean Buffington can play some quarterback as well.
Yeah, he showed his versatility right there. That's a great option to have in the backfield. Can run some trick plays, and you see it right there. They get it done. A JV quarterback turned into a dynamic running back. He said he running the ball a lot on JV, so it wasn't that it wasn't that difficult of a switch for him.
Certainly was not. He's done it very well again. Mid-Illini's leading rusher coming into this game. Morton, another scoring drive brought to you by Uftring Auto Group. 6 plays, they go 40 yards and take 2:48 off the clock. And build a nice 14-0 lead over the Dragons. Latif, I think the margins in this game haven't been huge. You know, there's been a lot of balance of good plays on both sides. Just Morton's been able to convert on those 3rd downs. Again, Hart to Kruzik has been a nice connection tonight, and also Julian Alexander's made some plays as well.
Yeah, it hasn't really been too bad of a game from Pekin as far as defensively. I think the really big thing has been the penalties and then some small explosive plays. Drew Hart has done a good job outside of the pocket. Adam O'Neal has got him outside of the pocket, made him make decisions, and it's been working for Morton.
Ramez Watson still on his feet for Pekin, and guess what? There's lots of bodies on the field, but also another piece of yellow cloth back near close to the Morton sideline. If it's on Morton, there'll be good field position for the Dragons. Now make it easier for their offense as we will await the call. While we do that, let's take a look at what I like to call the Tazewell Tussle. Reference to the county which both these schools are in. Maybe not the Mid-Atlantic's biggest rivalry, but certainly some bad blood between Morton and Pekin. Last year, Pekin won 14-7. Latif, that game was sort of an anomaly because the last 10 meetings, the average score of the winning team has been nearly 37. Morton's on pace for that right now. Pekin has got to get things going soon.
Yeah, this has been one of the biggest schools in the Central Illinois area as far as like best games over the past 10 years. Has some classic matchups. And whether this is a high-scoring game, low-scoring game, I think it's going to be exciting to watch throughout the rest of the night.
Certainly, as last year Pekin was so good as they send Watson in motion. Goss finds his man. He was looking for Peyton Hess, but GB Kruzik came flying in there. credit him with a PBU, pass breakup. As I was saying, Latif, last year, Pekin was so good. They went undefeated during the regular season, best season in school history. Morton, they went 4-5 last year, missed the playoffs agonizingly in week 9. But even though there was a differential in win total, that game was so close last year. I think we may see another one here tonight. Not if Morton's defense has anything to say about that, though. Short gain on the carry from Warfield.
I think Morton's defense is what made it so close. Last year, did a good job taking away Conley Tyler. He had a big game, but not really getting over the pylon too much. And so hopefully our defense can replicate that tonight and stop Pekin's offense.
It'll be 3rd and 10 for Pekin.
2 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen.
And looks like it'll be another flag down. It'll be a false start on Pekin.
3rd down and 15.
I think at this point for Pekin, I would consider, calling a timeout just to talk to my players about all these penalties. It's really being detrimental. We gotta try to get a grasp on this before it goes too far.
On the stop, number 6, Cole Rickenberger.
And as you can see, it's already starting to ruin drives. We've seen 2 punt returns where they had good field position come back because of penalties. It's going to be hard for them to get any type of offense going, which they've struggled with this entire season, if they continue to get penalties throughout the night.
It'll be 4th and 10. So Pekin will have to punt it away. Okay, punt is high and will drop it about the 40-yard line. Touched there by Carson Long, the junior. It will be 1st and 10 again for Morton. So a big drive here, Latif. Yeah, if they can end this one with a touchdown drive, you're already looking at 21-0. It's going to be really hard for Pekin to come back, getting down 3 scores early.
Yeah, this is one of those drives you can call like a knockout punch drive. You go up at 21, possibly 22-0 before the quarter even ends, before the half even ends. It's going to go a really long way to them being 5-0 and clinching the playoffs after that grueling Week 9 loss last season.
It'll be 1st and 10 from the 40. Jude Hart with 3 wide receivers. Alexander in motion, and another flag. It'll be a false start against Morton, so a rare penalty against Morton. I'll back him up, make it 1st and 15. First and 15 with under a minute left here in the first quarter. 3 wide receivers at the top of your screen. And it's Hart with it again. He finds some more space. Doesn't quite get to the sticks before he is wrapped up. Should make it a 2nd and medium.
On the stop for the Dragons, number 44, Connor Martin. Potters move the ball to their own 46-yard line, 2nd down.
And that'll be the end of the first quarter. Looks like the Potters got a 1st down. So through 1, it is a Morton 15, Pekin 0, and the Potters are driving. We'll step aside for a quick break. Come back here on CIProud.com.
days at Uptree and Pekin with our best offers of the year on new Jeeps, like 10 to 14% off MSRP on new Gladiators. That's right, up to 14% off MSRP at Uptree and Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Local 649 is looking for the next generation of apprentices. Between our commitment to safety and detail and state-of-the-art training facility, you will find more than just a career, but a family, creating legacies since 1896.
And welcome back here to Pekin. Morton's leading 15-0. We've been made aware of some issues with our stream. We're contacting people trying to get a fix right now. For that, again, we apologize for that. We'll try and get that fixed as soon as possible.
Put your hands together for the Mid-Illini cheer. Both the Morton and Pekin cheerleaders. All right, 1st and 10 for the Potters.
But I'll certainly keep my eye on it and see if there's anything.
And being tackled in the backfield was Jude Hart. Bradley Hoover, a big play for the Pekin defense. I'll make it 2nd and 11 here with just under and the first play of the second quarter. I make it 2nd and 13 now for Morton. Latif, this is a spot where Pekin has to keep them behind schedule.
They have to get them behind schedule. They have to get a stop on this drive. If Morton capitalizes on his big lead already, it'll be tough for them, especially with their offensive output, to continue to try to come back. I think if they hope to win this game, they need to keep it low scoring. They've been doing a good job adjusting to what Morton is doing.
2nd and 11. Reverse goes to Alexander, who's got a little window of space. Fights through it, gets up to about the 43. A chance for Pekin to maybe have a tackle there in the backfield, make it 3rd and long, but now it's 3rd and manageable. Another tackle by Hudson Nutter. He's been all over the place for Pekin on defense.
Yeah, and I think if Alexander would have cut it to the outside right there, he would have got a bigger gain. Nevertheless, it's 3rd and manageable, but if he would have cut it outside, it probably would have been a touchdown.
So 3rd and 5, big play here for Pekin's defense. They need to get off the field. Hand off to Buffington. He's got some room, but not anymore. Brought down by 34. That was Bradley Hoover on the tackle, coming in for Isaac Thomas, who left with an injury earlier. I think at 4th and 2, it looks like, Latif, that Morton's offense will stay on the field.
Brings up 4th down and 2 for the Potters.
Patrick, I kind of like that shot. I'm not going to take it, but for future reference, just stay there.
And off goes to Buffington on 4th down. They may have gotten the stop. And the preliminary look, it looks like they have. I'll wait for the official signal, but from our angle up here in the booth, it looks like it may be Pekin football. And they're still trying to peel off the pile. Maybe trying to inch that football forward. You never know what goes on at the bottom of that pile, Latif. I've never been at the bottom of one. But I don't think Morton did enough. That's going to be Pekin football.
What a big stop for Pekin right there. The Dragons needed that stop, especially on 4th down. What a moral victory. And hopefully that offense can capitalize on what the defense just built for them.
And again, I don't want to play a game of hypotheticals too much, Latif, but that's a huge play in this game because instead of Morton going up 21-0, they can make it a 14-7 game. And they get it out to the outside, and John Richmond.
2 yards on the play, 2nd down for the Dragons.
Switch over to that Pekin one. See if that works. Yeah. Do PCHS and Wi-Fi. Hand off to that was a keeper from Goss.
Luke Goss on the quarterback option. Being stopped by number 3, Paul Weeks. Gain of the yard on the play.
zoom out, Frank.
Third down for the Dragons.
Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. There you go. A little bit better. Zoom out a little bit more.
That pass incomplete. It will be a 3rd and 6.
Fourth down for the Dragons.
They'll make it now 4th down for Pekin. So it looks like from their own 43, Latif, they're probably going to have to punt. And feel bad for them. They made a play, just couldn't capitalize on it on offense.
Yeah, going 3 down offense is not ideal right here, especially when your defense got that big stop. You go 3 and out, they barely get any rest. Morton has this pertinent running offense, and so that really doesn't help with defense. It's going to really tire them out when they need to be fresh right now.
Nice punt from Goss. Rolls inside the 20, down to about the 12. So a nice one to pin Morton deep. Give them a long field where it will be 1st down. And Latif, this year, again, you mentioned, Morton's been running the football so much. They've outrushed their opponents this year, 1,266 to 430. That's more than 800 yards more than their opponent, and they're averaging nearly 8 yards a carry.
Yep, that combination of Buffington and Michael has been lethal this year, but we got to give some love to their offensive line as well, doing a great job protecting their quarterback and creating running lanes for their quarterback and running back.
And Hart rolls out of the pocket. Option flip to Buffington. He's wrapped up by a swarm of Dragons, including Elijah Hart.
Yeah, Elijah Hart is having himself a game tonight. Got to give credit to the Morton defense. Their defense and the linebackers have been doing a good job reading plays, attacking the ball, adjusting to whatever Morton is throwing at them. It's time to get a big stop down 15-0.
2nd and 10, 8 minutes to go here in the 2nd quarter. Morton trying to build their lead. Low snap, Hart. And he's got to run with it, get away from the end zone. He does. Could have been a safety for the Pekin defense. Now this is prime position, 3rd and long at their own 4-yard line. If you're a Pekin fan, if you're Morton, you're just trying to stay out of the end zone, maybe get a big play, maybe find a nice receiver screen here potentially on 3rd and long.
I think you played the cautious route. Just try to get some yards back, but definitely get away from the end zone a little bit. Don't do anything risky, because if they get an interception or a fumble here, it's going to go a long way for Pekin's moral victories. From a moral victory standpoint, be cautious here and protect the ball.
3rd and 18, 3 wide receivers. Hart is going to keep it, and we get another flag on the play. Looks like that one will go against Morton. That's a false start, so it'll be half the distance to the goal. Now it'll be on the 2-yard line.
Second down and 20 for the Pirates.
And another flag here. This one may also go against the Potters. They continue to shoot themselves in the foot, Latif. They're barely going to be outside of their own goal line now. It's going to make it 3rd and nearly a country mile. Ball is at the 1, if that, maybe even inside the 1.
And if I'm peeking here, I'm sending a lot of pressure, be super aggressive, try to make a big play, and set your offense up with good field position.
And give up the middle. They'll gain a couple, but not enough for the 1st down. So that's going to be big for the Dragons. They get off the field, and Latif stopping them deep in their own territory. They should get good field position here.
Yep. And Pekin has had good field position a few times in this game. Their defense is playing amazing to start, outside of a few plays, but let's see how the offensive is able to capitalize.
Punt is away. Fair catch called for by Connor Martin at the 42 and made. So Pekin will start the drive already in Morton territory here with 5:58 left to go. Here in quarter number 2, Pekin looking to get to 2-3 on the year. Morton looking to get to 5-0. And Latif, we were talking, this is a big game for Pekin because you don't necessarily need to win this game, but it would really help because if you go 1-4, you got to win out to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not a must-win, but it'll go a long way in helping you. Got Metamore next week, who is a winnable game, but if you can go into that game with a lot of momentum, knocking off Morton, who's coming into game 4-0, it does a lot for your state playoff hopes.
And also for Morton's side, Latif, they were a team that had 4 wins all of last year, and now they have a chance to exceed that mark in just week 5 of the season. Goss hands off to Hart. He's got a room to run up to the 40-yard line before he's tackled violently by Brett Michael. And he's wreaked so much havoc on defense this year. 22 tackles. And how about by the numbers? 4 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions, 2 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. Short play here. Looks like the ball is out. Morton recovers. A fumble for the Dragons with Hart as the ball carrier. That was a big chance, Latif, and again, they just can't quite finish off those drives. Morton takes over with a chance now with under 5 minutes to go before the half. Huge play for that Morton defense. That's what head coach Adam O'Neill preaches. His name on Twitter is Coach O'Neill Turnover D. Should be a part of his actual legal name at this point. He loves to force turnovers.
Yep, this Morton defense has been forcing turnovers this entire season, especially Brett Michael. But I really want to feel for the Pekin defense. 2 straight big stops, and your offense can't create any points, not even a field goal at all. You don't get a lot of rest. Hopefully they can come up with another stop, but that's just a gut-wrenching turnover for the Pekin offense.
There'll be 4 wide receivers here for the Morton Potters. Hart in the shotgun and batted down, almost picked off, or was it on the defensive line? That was Jace Hackman, the senior, batting it down. That looked like almost a surefire completion. Hart looks confident in that throw near to the perimeter. Hackman said no.
How about Hackman, a returner from last season, making that great play? Almost got an interception. The Pekin defense is playing well.
And play here and brought down is Alexander for another loss. That'll make it 3rd and long. Latif, revisiting our keys to the game, the Dragons are doing a great job of putting Morton behind schedule.
Yeah, this is the formula to stay competitive and potentially beat the Morton team. They took away the run already. That was on the key to the game. They've dominated the line of scrimmage on the defensive end. They're forcing Morton to become a passing team, which are not really great at yet, and is doing a great benefit for them.
Hart rolls out, looking deep. He's got no one down the middle of the field. Airmailed GB Kruzik, who is just past the sticks. And I'll bring up 4th and long. So despite the turnover, Latif, Pekin's going to get the ball back with a chance to score before the half.
Personal foul against the Dragons.
Camera 2, you're going to go back to my game camera now.
So 4th and about 16. Now for the Pirates, there's another flag on the field. We'll investigate this. Well over a dozen flags now by this point. As we'll await the call, this is going to be roughing the passer on Pekin. And that is going to make it still a 4th down, but instead of 4th and 16, it's 4th and 1. They're going to go for it. And it looks like we may have a timeout call. Rather, the referee is motioning 1st down. No one knows what's going on at the moment. Quick score update from other Mid-Illini games. Dunlap leads 20-0 right now over East Peoria. And that penalty, Latif, is going to give Morton a 1st down at their own 38.
Penalties have been a big thing in this game for both sides, but for Pekin, it's really biting them in the butt.
Hand off to Buffington. He gets to the perimeter finally, across midfield before he's thrown down. And Buffington looks to be okay. One of the bigger runs for the Morton Junior running back so far tonight. Credit Pekin's defense for bottling him up better than most. However, Buffington's had at least 166 yards in every game this year. So that'll make it 1st and 10. Clock stopped at 3:59 here late in the second half. On the 48, Hart rolls out, looking. Still can't find anybody. Flag down. He's going to run it. He's got open space. How about this run from Hart all over the place, only for a gain of about 4 or 5. This one may be coming back. And this is going to be a holding on Morton. Seems like every other play, Latif, has been a flag. It's really sort of almost just interrupting the flow of the game.
Yeah, neither team have really been getting into the flow of their offense. Morton's put up 15 points, but that came earlier in the beginning of the game on really like 2 big plays basically for them. Haven't really got like a consistent offensive drive from either teams where they're slowly going down the field, making play after play.
That'll make it 1st and long from the 42, 1st and 20 rather. As Preston Berg, the number 2 in white, checks in. He's at the bottom of your screen, trips all in a stack at the top. Hart gives to Buffington, and they can't make the tackle. He breaks 2 of them. He's back and free across the 40, down near the 30 before he's pushed out of bounds. He slides nearly to the track. Another big run for Buffington. It's been tough to stuff Buff this year.
Yeah, they've contained Buffington for the majority of this game, but it's really hard to contain him for that long. He's so elusive. He's fast. He's strong. Can break tackles. Everything of that. So he's been contained for this part of the game, but at one point we knew he was going to break loose for a big run.
And Latifi sort of reminds me of a running back we've both seen this year from Normal Community, possibly one of the other best backs in the area, Tommy Davis, who has a great blend of speed and power as well. Hart finds Alexander, looking to make a move across the sticks before he's dragged down by Hart and Nutter. Ramez Watson also found his way into the tackle. Coming up at halftime, we'll have our John Camosa. He'll be stepping into the booth and giving what he's seen down from the sidelines. He's been down there all game. Should be a 3rd and short, or 2nd and 5 rather. Alexander, the man in motion. They do like to hand it off to him, but this one goes to Buffington, carries the pile across the 1st down marker, so Morton will keep their drive moving here with close to 2 minutes left in the first half.
Ball carrier Buffington. On the stop, Hudson Nutter. Potters move the ball down to the 21-yard line, 1st and 10.
Now 2 minutes left to go here in the first half. 1st and 10 for Morton. Again, another 4 wide receiver set. They fake to Buffington. Hart rolls out, and he is looking dangerous. Throw to Alexander. Connor Martin in coverage. Martin has been a player. He was another guy that got some playing time last year, not a ton, but he's sort of in a safety linebacker hybrid role this year, and he's been pretty good. Especially on both sides of the ball. He's also got time at running back as well. No, Hart will be in the shotgun again. It'll be a 5 wide receiver set. Powder's looking to extend their lead to 3 possessions before the halftime break. Hart tried to get in with the hard count. Pekin didn't bite. Now Buffington moves back into the backfield. Trips at the top of your screen. Give up the gut. Running in between the center and the right guard for a nice gain. Luke Benders and Tyler Prey to some hogs up front for Morton, paving the way for Buffington.
What a good play call right there by Adam O'Neal. Headshot Buffington out wide as a receiver at first. Brought him back into the backfield and a run straight up the middle. Trying to confuse the Pekin defense a little bit.
First and goal now from the 10. Hart, another handoff to who else? Shondon Buffington, who runs for a couple. I haven't really seen much of Brett Michael in the backfield yet. Latifi's carry count per week has decreased lately, just 7 in their last 2 games. But he's a strong back, so we'll see if they bring him in here. Looks like they do.
Yeah, I think they'll use him a little bit more for like short yardage situations and goal line situations. His knack right now is really defense, and he's been having the biggest impact on that side of the ball. So keep him fresh on defense. You lower his carries.
Under a minute to play. Alexander in motion. Michael's got wide open room. He strikes the Heisman pose, running into the end zone. Says, "You can't touch me." And Morton's lead extends to 21-zip right before the halftime break. Brett Michael, the touchdown run for Morton. That's his 4th of the year. And what I believe may be his first carry of the game. And the extra point now will be kicked by Cooper Skold, the senior kicker for Morton. He's 14 of 15 on point after attempts on the year. Made his only actual field goal attempt, a 25-yarder last week. And Pekin's rush, not able to get to him. Extra point is up and through. Huge score for Morton before the break, Latif. Being down 2 scores at half, you probably still feel decent. You can get back in the game easily. Being down 3 makes that hill that much steeper to climb.
Yup, and a good score right there from Brett Michael, coming in a short yard situation and getting a touchdown. It gives you a commanding 22-0 lead before halftime. And it has to be deflating for the Pekin defense, having played so well. Like, you look at the score, it's 20-0. You'll think they haven't played well defensively, but they've made some big stops, some big plays. Their offense hasn't been able to capitalize. And so it has to be deflating for a Pekin defense going into halftime.
We'll see if they can rebound. Let's take a look at the Upstream Auto Group scoring drive. They go 10 plays and 71 yards in 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Nice drive that milked some time off the clock. That's probably almost exactly what head coach Adam O'Neal was thinking about. And Latif, let's take a look at the Potters' new head coach. He took over for Tim Briley, Morton's former head man, who led them to the state semifinals. O'Neal in his first season has him 4-0. He's a former state champion in Kansas. He won a state championship for Manhattan, the same town where Kansas State's located. It's a town that loves its football, as does Morton. He's also a former Peoria High assistant under Tim Thornton, so he's got some connections to the area. Learned a lot of good things under Tim Thornton at Peoria High.
And I was just going to say, working under Tim Thornton, you have to know and learn about winning. So that's probably one of the best head coaches in the area, and probably all of the state that you can learn from. And so it looks like he's brought that culture of toughness, of preparation. When we were talking to him earlier this year, we were talking to Sean down and some of the players. This summer, they really put emphasis on speed. They got up at like 6 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning every day in the summer. They were lifting weights. A lot went into this season it's not just getting on the field and we're going to run a lot. It's like a lot of preparation going into this 4-0 start.
Certainly, Latif, and those early summer practices were kind of a staple for Morton. I was actually at one of them to talk to them for our season preview, which is on CSM Overtime, as Goss finds his man. That was Brock Lavin, the wide receiver on the near perimeter. Clock is running down. Pekin has all of their timeouts. They're going hurry up, though. 30 seconds left to go here in the first half. Goss looking on the field, looks for Watson on the crow route. He can't find him. It's picked off. Silas Stephenson read it like a book, and Stephen, the sophomore corner, is going to attack another score on to Morton's lead before the half.
What a big play right there. If you watch that from our view, he read that like a book. Like the anticipation, like that's like they were probably right there in the zone right there. He went out of that zone, anticipated that pass and intercepted. Great play right there to end the half.
Goss just telegraphed that throw a little bit too much. It traveled a little bit too far in order to reach its destination safely. Instead, it finds Silas Stephen. Latif, every player in Morton secondary so far has interceptions this year. Clint Teeter had a pick 6 last week. Now Stephen does as well. That's his second INT of the year. And Morton, pending the PAT, should be up 29-0 before the half. Wow.
And this Morton defense has been balling all year. You got to attribute that to coaching. Everyone on the secondary has an interception. They spreading the love around. They got to get them like a turnover chain, something like that. You see all those colleges have a turnover chain or something. They got to get one of them over there from Adam O'Neill for his players.
Yeah, the Potters, their sort of their unofficial nickname is the Hogs. I'm trying to think of a pig or a hog-themed thing they have. I know a lot of pigs and hogs, they wear like that little ring in their nose. I don't think they're going to be giving any players piercings on the sidelines. But I don't know, maybe give them a pork chop like we had here tonight. Maybe a pork chop sandwich would be a pretty good reward for a turnover. Maybe they do have something like a turnover chain, or we'll ask Adam O'Neill later this year. I'm sure we'll be running into him a lot more the way his Potters are performing. Looking for a 5-0 start to the year. Looking to clinch playoff eligibility already, and the Potters will go for 2. It'll be Buffington. How about this formation? 4 linemen to the left, and Hill Lawful and deep for Zane Raber. And it flies out of the end zone, so no good, but it's canceled out by that conversion they made earlier, so it'll remain 28-0 here with just under 20 ticks to go before the halftime break. And Latifah, we've seen this year, and we've seen some games that we thought of maybe we're going to be close coming in. And, the other team, the team is losing, maybe hangs tough. They have to make some good plays. But we've seen multiple times this year that games can change in an instant. And just in the snap of your fingers, Pekin goes down. They're 14-0. Had a chance to make it a 14-7 score before the half. They turn it over, and Morton converts. And then they get the pick 6 from sophomore corner Silas Stephen. Now they get 28-0 before the halftime break. It'll be Dane Kaser to kick it off for the Potters. Morton, number 44 in black, and Watson, number 20 above him on your screen, will be back deep to receive, standing at the 10. Low kick. Yeah, it's brought in by Watson. Up to nearly the 30, and he slips and falls. Hopefully he's all right. That was a nasty-looking fall there, but looks like he just slid on the wet ground, and Pekin will take over.
And we've seen a few slips like that in this first half. If I'm Pekin here, I just want to either kneel it down or just get a small run. Don't do anything dangerous. You're already down 28-0. Don't want to have that possibly change before halftime.
I was a little confused on that sequence for Pekin. Again, they wanted to throw the ball. They had a full host of timeouts, didn't use them. And then a risky throw to the sideline. The play sort of cracked out a little bit on Goss and the Dragons. Not entirely his fault. Hand off, and he's wrapped up right away. A big hit from number 44, Zane Reiber. Made some big hits here tonight. He's fired up for this one. And the Potters will be fired up heading to the halftime locker room leading 28-zip.
Yeah, big first half for the Morton. Capitalized on mistakes from Pekin as far as penalties, interceptions, just mental errors from the Dragons, and Morton has taken full advantage of it. Lead 28-0 at halftime. Their running game is getting going. We saw a lot from the passing game, and they've been dominant through the first half of this game, on their way to a 5-0 start and clinching the playoffs through 5 weeks.
Certainly, and real quick, Latif, before we send it to our break, real quick keys for both teams in the second half.
Keys, I would say just minimize the penalties for the Dragons.
For both teams, honestly.
Both teams, yeah. At this point, you have to open up the passing game. You're down 28-0. Try to mix in some runs, but I would say try to move the ball down the field through the passing game. On the outside, they do a lot of throws in the middle of the field. Test these corners from Morton. We know the strength of the defense is the linebackers. The defensive line, test these corners. Try to get some big explosive plays. For Morton, limit the penalties. And true clock. Run the ball. That's what you're doing good. You have the lead. Don't do anything crazy. Don't try to you can open up with the passing game, try to do some reps for, coming weeks, but just play smart. I would say chew the clock, get your defense a rest, and go into week 6 with a 5-0 start.
It's looking likely for the Potters, but we still have another half to play. Stay tuned. We'll bring in John Camosa for some halftime analysis. Here on the other side of the break, you're watching Clutch Sports Media on CIProud.com.
Pizza bread, grilled cheese, and Italian beef for the best pile of high subs and hot sandwiches in Central Illinois. And no one has better homemade, always fresh from the oven bread. Michael's Italian Feast.
How do you find your best Ford deal? Simple. See the Ford team at Uptrings Ford, the big Ford store down by the river. New Fords are in stock now, and the deals are everywhere. Hurry in for thousands in savings on new F-150 or 0% for 66 months on Edge. UpTringFord.com.
It wasn't that long ago that I was ready to break, working a job that was making me miserable. Sure, I was getting my paycheck, but I was missing out on everything that mattered. I had to make a change, and that change was joining Sunflower Real Estate Group. Becoming a realtor didn't just give me the flexibility I needed. I'm no longer too tired to have fun at night, and I never miss my kids' games. Sunflower got my life back on track. Sunflower Real Estate Group, the brightest spot in real estate.
Sam Lehman of Morton, the #1 Ram truck dealer in the Midwest with over 100 Rams in stock and coming. During our Ram Power Day sales event, take $11,000 off brand new Ram Bighorns or finance for 2.9%. And shop during our Jeep Adventure Days to save with $8,500 off MSRP on a brand new Jeep Grand Cherokee L. Plus, take $4,000 off hard-to-find brand new V8 Dodge Chargers. It's the last year of production. Only at Sam Lehman of Morton.
Welcome back to Pekin Memorial Stadium. The halftime performance from the Pekin dance and cheer team just got done. John Camosa joins us now in the booth. John, you were down. Which sideline were you on in the first half? I saw you down by Pekin's for a little bit. Overall, what'd you see down there?
Yeah, I just stayed predominantly on the Pekin sideline on the far left there and the right. But Gavin, or I should say John, you used to call him with Gavin. I saw a lot of ground and pound football from Morton. They're slow and methodical. They really wear you down in the first half. And it was a game that Pekin was within reach right there, 15-0. Scoreless second quarter there for a while, but then Brett Michael added a touchdown there late in the second quarter, and then a pick six by Silas Steffen really kind of put a damper on it. Could have been a 15-0 game. Now we're looking at 28-zip as Latif added right before the break. Morton looking really good, going potentially 5-0 into next week.
Certainly, don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Again, second half still left to play. Pekin has looked good. They've got a shot, but they started out really containing Buffington well. Their defensive line, led by Logan Raby, Landon Erksleben, Blaine Thomas, and Jace Hackman, all performed really well back in that first quarter. Stopped him on his first couple games, but since then it's just been almost just right up the gut rather than anything off tackle.
Yeah, they've done a really good job, like you said, John, not giving Buffington too many big holes out there. Jude Hart's really kind of had a scramble, and he's worked for some of his QB keepers there, but a couple things I saw in the first and second quarter there. Pekin did a good job of moving the ball. A lot of penalties cost them. They had a big kick return there from Connor Martin that got called back. That got him down to about the 35-yard line in the first quarter, right within reach to cut it to, one score there. But a lot of penalties back and forth on both sides of the ball that's kind of hurt both teams.
And, John, looking at your notebook you have there in your hand, if you were tallying up penalties, you probably would need a new page. There's been a lot on both sides of the ball, but, arguably they've hurt Pekin a little bit more, had some really good drives. They had that roughing the passer against Jude Hart, whereas 4th and 16 instead, the roughing the passer gave him the first down. I think that was definitely a key turning point, probably the most impactful flag. I'm not sure if you think the same or if there's any other big ones that stood out to you.
Yeah, definitely I would agree with you there, John, on that one. And, going off the weather, getting a lot of rain early today, some rain before the game, players losing their footing a little bit, that could add to some of those false starts on the line, maybe jumping a little quick. And then, obviously, some of those penalties and those mental mistakes that can be avoided there with, like, the roughing the passer. You just got to stop yourself on those, some costly errors. But I think if Pekin can clean it up a little bit here in the second half, they could try to inch their way back into this game. It's really going to start with finding their offensive identity, trying to get the ball on the ground, find some plays through the air as well.
Certainly, and, Pekin again, as so many new faces. Elijah Hart looked pretty solid at running back. Luke Goss has also shown some good flashes as well. Had some nice throws, especially that one to Ramez Watson to start the game. But that one throw, that's going to be a quarterback. You could have a lot of great throws and not really get rewarded for it that much, and you got to make one bad one and have it really hurt you, and it really did with that pick six to Silas Steffen and the first half.
Yeah, and when you got a team like Morton with kind of a senior-laden defense, their captains, Connor Wagner and Noah Loosley, they're really putting a lot of pressure there on Luke Goss. He's had some opportunities where he looked to throw, but then he couldn't really find anybody open. You got J.P. Kruzak over there at corner. So really the secondary's done a good job of collapsing in on their wide receivers, and it's kind of limited Pekin to keep more on the ground. But we'll see if they switch that up in the second half, try to bring a little spark here. Still got all the fans hanging around, so they want to see a touchdown on the board.
It is a pink out night here in Pekin. Tomorrow night at Dottie Hawkins Gymnasium is the Pekin Volley for a Cure, help raise money to help defeat breast cancer. A lot of pink in the stands. There's a pink out sign kind of made in cups there on the fence over there by the adjacent road next to Pekin Memorial Stadium. So lots of pink, lots of red, but Morton has been the superior team in red so far tonight. John, I was talking with Latif during the broadcast. This is a big game for Morton because, if you remember last week, I was at this game. Morton lost to Washington, I think 7-3 the last week of the regular season, fell short of the playoffs after going to the state semifinals the year before. So, again, still lots of season left. They can keep improving their position as the year goes on. But, it could lock up eligibility, in essence, here tonight.
Yeah, and to your point there, John, like we said, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think Morton knows how important this game is. When you look at the thick of their schedule kind of coming up, we're looking at Washington, Dunlap. It gets harder and harder as we go down the schedule, and I believe Washington's their last game of the season. Dunlap comes, within the next 2 weeks, so it's going to be really tough slate for Morton, but the way they're playing right now, offensively, defensively, on the ground, through the air, they're looking really primed and ready. But Pekin obviously wanting to get that first Mid-Illini win. They're looking for that spark here in the second half, and they'd really have to string some wins together to try to find themselves. It's not out of the question, but they'd almost have to win out.
Yeah, certainly, especially if this result holds here tonight. Pekin would drop to 1-4, and then you have to beat Metamora. That's probably your biggest game. They end with Canton, Limestone, and East Peoria, so it gets a little bit easier for the Dragons, but if you want to get in the playoffs in the Mid-Illini, at least the last couple of years, it's kind of you either have to beat, no matter who you are, you either have to beat either Morton, Metamora, Dunlap, Washington, or Pekin. And so far, Pekin, they fall into Morton, or not, they haven't fallen, they're playing right now. They fell into Washington, excuse me, and they also fell to Dunlap as well. So if they don't win tonight, they pretty much have to win against Metamora in Week 6 to keep their playoff hopes alive. We'll see what happens. John, thanks for coming in the booth. We're going to take a quick break here on CIProud.com. Come back, Latif Love will rejoin us. We'll look at some other scores around the area and come back with the second half live on CIProud.com.
At Bob Grimm Chevrolet in Morton, we're excited about the all-new tracks, and they're selling as fast as they arrive. Just listen to Lee.
I looked everywhere for my 2024 Chevy Trax. I'm from Indiana, and I drove right over to buy it. Such a smooth and simple process.
That's the Bob Grimm way.
The Fox has become known for some of the best British and American pub fare around. And for you craft beer lovers, we have 25 ever-changing draft handles. Whether it's lagers, IPAs, stouts, or ciders, the Fox has something for everyone. Join us at the Fox Pub in North Peoria.
How do you find your best Ford deal? Simple. See the Ford team at Uftring Ford, the big Ford store down by the river. New Fords are in stock now, and the deals are everywhere. Hurry in for thousands in savings on new F-150. Bring us your trade and get more towards any new Ford. UftringFord.com.
Mushanti Heating and Cooling specializes in commercial and residential heating and cooling services. We're a Tempstar dealer, but service all makes and models with products that always provide you the best solutions.
Give your local experts a call at Mushanti Heating and Cooling.
Local 649 is looking for the next generation of apprentices. Between our commitment to safety and detail and state-of-the-art training facility, you will find more than just a career, but a family, creating legacies since 1896.
It's time to get out and about with the help of Academy of Screen Printing and Awards, outfitting you for special events, youth sports, business wear, and shirts for the workplace, and school events. Academy of Screen Printing and Awards has you covered. Let us help you today.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime.
After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Eclipse Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories.
Your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts.
As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds.
CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action.
More stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
And welcome back to Pekin Memorial Stadium. The Pekin band now serenading us at this point of the halftime show. Latif, let's take a look at some of the out-of-town scores from around the area. Haven't got all of them, but we have a couple. Starting in the Mid-Illini Conference, Washington and Dunlap doing what they're expected to do. Washington up 49-0 on Limestone. Dunlap up 40-0 on East Peoria. Both those teams, Washington looking to go to 4-1, Dunlap looking to go to 5-0. They played in Week 7. It's going to be a huge game in the Mid-Illini Conference at Dunlap. So I think very well Washington could be 6-1. Dunlap could be, or Washington could be 5-1. Dunlap could be 6-0 heading into that game.
Yeah, Washington and Dunlap going to be a major matchup for playoff implications. This is one of the best matches we're going to see in Central Illinois. Two great teams so far throughout the season. Hopefully we'll be able to broadcast that game. It's going to be a great one.
We won't share our broadcast plans just yet, but we'll say that we have our eye on it for sure. And also, looking for Morton, they got some big games coming out the stretch as well. They play Dunlap in Week 8, then they play Washington at home in Week 9. So any one of those games that we mentioned in the Mid-Illini, I feel like could end up deciding who wins the conference title. I feel like somebody's going to go undefeated. Washington, obviously, they already had a non-conference loss to Kankakee, but it's only by 4 points, so they were very close to being undefeated. But it really should be a great Mid-Illini race as, Pekin trying to keep pace as well. Other scores around the area from the Big 12. Normal West up 40-7 on Richwoods. Normal Community up 21-0 on Bloomington at halftime. In the Illini Prairie Conference, how about the Bloomington Central Catholic Saints up 34-7 on Tolono Unity. Unity, a very good team down in the Champaign area year in and year out. And the Saints, they are just simply different this year. They're looking to move to 5-0 as well. Peoria Notre Dame is in a thriller with Jacksonville 15-14. That's the Big 12 and Central State 8 crossover game that is going to be very hotly contested. Peoria High up 38-0 over Manual at halftime. Malik Ross with 168 yards and 3 touchdowns. Lions are still playing with their backup quarterback, Breon Green. Elsewhere in small school action, IVC down 48-7 against Prairie Central. Our other game going on ClutchSportsIL.com at the moment. Eureka is up 28-8 on DMAC right now, so that's a big Heart of Illinois Conference game. Both those teams trying to chase down El Paso Gridley and Tri-Valley. Also, Normal U-High up big over Lanphier, 56-6. Those are the scores we have at the moment. We'll see if we have any ones that also roll in during the half. But Latif, talking about Pekin, we talked a lot about Morton, but Pekin is really restocking a lot. Let's take a little trip to Dragon Mart. They got to restock the shelves. Last year, those shelves were full of Kanye Tylers and Scotty Jordans, Tanner Spreckers, Bo Benassis, and Braden Beckhams, along with many more impact players. And obviously, as you have to do in high school, you got to graduate, and all of those players did. And those shelves were kind of empty, at least during the offseason. You kind of figured who's going to be the playmaker for Pekin this year. A lot of unknown faces. They're restocking it this year. Players that are looking to make their mark. And the shelves are now back with players like Elijah Hart, Luke Goss, Connor Martin, Landon Erksleben, Ramez Watson, and more. I still like what I've seen out of Pekin tonight, even though the score may not reflect it. I think their seniors and their guys, especially those 5 on the screen right now, have played a pretty good game.
It's really about all the others, and it's really been a discipline thing tonight. Not a lot of these players played last year. You could tell that through 4 weeks. A lot of them didn't play last year. They're making costly mistakes with penalties, and that's been the biggest thing. I think their defense has played well. They're down 28-0. That's not the entire story. If you're just not tuning in, I'll tell you how the first half went. Pekin defense played amazing stopping the run, containing the shot in the Buffington. Jewel Hart got out of the pocket in the first half a lot. It created plays, but the biggest part of a formula of beating Morton is stopping the run. They did that in the first half. They got big stops. Their offense wasn't able to capitalize on that. The offense has been able to get the running game going. They've been moving the ball a little bit down the field. They had a few big plays in the passing game. But like I said, the penalties have been coming back to bite them. So it's really been the big discipline thing so far in this game. And so like I said, like John have said, we've liked what we've seen from Pekin despite the score, but they got to just wrap it all together and put it together for 4 quarters of a game.
Certainly, and you mentioned them being able to get their running game going. Latif, this is a big rebound, at least in my opinion, for the Pekin offensive line, who really struggled against a very strong Washington defensive front last week, where they allowed 7 sacks. They've kept Goss upright for the most part today, and they've created some nice holes for Elijah Hart. So credit to Pekin's big guys up front from left to right. That's Dalton Sturch, Braden Sullivan, Blaine Thomas, Hunter Lamberson, and Jace Hackman. Big rebound night for them as we're getting set to kick off here in the third quarter. Morton will receive, so they'll have a chance to really build on their lead even more. Might say that this is a make-or-break drive for the Dragon defense. They're not out of it, though. If you get a turnover, maybe a pick 6 like Morton just did to you, you get that back. It's a 3-score game. Get a stop, maybe get good field position, another score, and it's 2 possessions. And from there, anything can happen. So stay tuned here on CIProud.com. Again, if you were tuning in earlier back in the first half, we're glad you're sticking with us. We apologize for some technical difficulties on our end, but I think we've gotten them all straightened out since then. So we appreciate you sticking with us. Those things happen time to time. It's just the raw truth when it comes to live broadcasting in different spots. So a number of things can go wrong. But again, glad you're with us here. Our WMBD Game of the Week here on CIProud.com. Again, if you want to pull up, maybe have a screen stream. You can also pull up Eureka and DMAC on ClutchSportsIL.com and our YouTube channel. Miley Hansen, the Pekin kicker, who's committed to play both football and soccer at Monmouth, is ready to kick it away. And kick travels inside the 20. It's a good one near the sideline. And Cruising will have to return it. Tight ropes, and now across the 30, brought down by Estevan Leon, a senior returner on Pekin's defense.
And a good return to start off the second half from Fort Morton, getting up to about the 35. But Miley Hansen was one of the biggest stories last year of that Pekin team. Watching them last year, it's a great story. Made a few big kicks in that playoff run last season.
She really did, and back that Normal Community game was the biggest one. We were broadcasting that game. Pekin got a late touchdown from Tanner Sprecher. The game's tied at 31-all, and Miley Hansen, you got to figure that Normal Community's field goal block team is going to be coming with everything for that one. She calmly knocked it through. She said it was one of the best kicks of her career. Just boomed it through the uprights. She's got quite a leg on her, plays defense on Pekin's girls soccer team. And again, she'll be playing both sports for the Monmouth College Fighting Scots at the Division III level next year. Jude Hart finds Clint Teeter on the outside, picking up about 10 or 11 on first down. It's cooling off here a bit in Pekin. Again, there are some showers during the day today all around the Peoria area. Field a little bit wet, but they actually canceled the JV game, probably because they didn't want the field to get all torn up. Hart looking deep. He's got Preston Berg with no one around him. Martin tries to chase him down. Berg puts on the juke, and he's into the end zone. What a throw from Hart, and how about the moves from Berg? Hart high-stepping down the field in celebration. This one's all Morton. 28 seconds is all they need to score.
And I anticipated them opening up the passing game in the second half, after running the ball a lot in the first half. That's usually what you're able to do up 28-0. And that's a great play. 28 seconds, all you need to score. Back-breaking for that Pekin defense.
The first drive of both halves for Morton have been ending in huge plays. First, that 65-yard scramble from Jude Hart. Skol's extra point is good. Now, the big pass from Hart to Clint Teeter, or rather, Preston Berg, excuse me. The pass from Teeter set up the throw to Berg. But how about the play calling there from Adam O'Neill, Latif? You maybe expected, okay, they're 28-0. They're going to try and run the ball and establish Buffington and Michael and company. They come out and throw it for 2 of their 3 plays. And they have already scored. It's now 35-0. It's all Morton now. Pekin, again, even if you can't, win on the scoreboard tonight, Latif, you still want to show that fight and show that resolve as another Upstream Auto Group scoring drive. It's a short one. They took it in a fast car. 3 plays, 65 yards in 28 seconds. In a car, I think going 65 yards in 28 seconds is probably pretty slow, but considering these are humans and not cars, we're not in a Pixar movie. It's pretty good.
And like you said, yeah, Pekin definitely needs to show some resolve at this point in the game. Maybe try to practice some stuff that's been working for them, or some stuff they want to work for them later in the season, being down this much.
Here's Ramez Watson on the kick return. Let's see if he can make a play. He stumbles and still on his feet, up across the 35, tight ropes over to the 40 before he is knocked out by Silas Steffen, who had that pick 6 to end the first half. Pekin's been getting some really good field possession, Latif. Their kickers haven't been able to boom it down the field. They've been able to return lots of kicks, make some good plays. Most of their drives have started past the 40-yard line. They just haven't been able. They've been stuck in that purgatory between about the Morton 30 and their own 40-yard line just about all game long. We'll see if that changes here. Three wide receiver set, fullback in the backfield, and looks like Elijah Hart. Or rather, that's Frankie Warfield. He runs and he's wrapped up by Brett Michael. A linebacker who's made tons of tackles and tons of plays for Morton on defense makes it a short gain. There's a crescent moon here tonight across Pekin Memorial Stadium. As we get a quick look at the moon, a run up the middle from Pekin goes for short yardage, make it 3rd and long.
Yeah, we have seen Pekin get some good field position to start a lot of these drives, just haven't been able to capitalize, but it only takes one big play to get back in the game and to make things interesting. So let's see what they do. Maybe throw the ball down the field. Rob Washington has been great, I would say. One of the biggest bright spots for the team today.
Estevan Leon in motion. They blow the play dead. First flag of the second half. But you said it, Latif. You read my mind. I was going to say this is the perfect opportunity for Pekin to make a big play. The crowd's kind of out of it now. The life, the noise has sort of been sucked out. And they need a response somehow. And that'd be a good way to do it. We were just so used to seeing so many big plays from Pekin last year, though, with those guys like Kanye Tyler, Tanner Sprecher, such dynamic players. Then you had Scotty Jordan throwing to Bo Benassi. Another flag comes down on 3rd and 10. Is this more pre-snap movement? And it appears it is. Make it 3rd and 15. So now the Dragons will need a big play just to keep this drive going on 3rd and 15.
So in about 2 minutes, they're going to be closing up their stand. So if you would like some peek out at Tyler, the stand will be closing in approximately 2 minutes, unless, of course, there's a long, long line.
Here the Pekin PA announcer, you get your pink out gear. They're going to close down the shop soon. And we're going to have a timeout. Our first one of the game is brought to you by Fox Pub in Peoria. I thank them for their support of tonight's broadcast and all of our advertisers tonight. Tonight's broadcast would not be possible without their support.
You have that ticket, come see me in the booth. 7860.
See if we can find any other games going on right now. Again, a score that we don't have right now is between Metamora and Canton. Redbirds looking to bounce back after 2 straight losses. I think, Metamora can really insert themselves back into the race in the Mid-Illini sooner rather than later.
Oh, we got some stuff going on. Posters.
And it'll be 3rd and 15 now for Goss and the Dragons. For a big play. They have 3 wide receivers, 2 men in the backfield, one of them the fullback. And the pass, the screen was batted away. Looked like that may have been Isaac Garza, number 40, but it wasn't 100% sure. Regardless of who it was, it's going to be another Pekin punt.
Yeah, that was almost a dangerous play right there. Gladly he got it down and was able to get on top of the ball, but another Pekin punt, another offensive drive that doesn't go too far with good field position. The Morton defense has really been doing a good job of protecting the bad field position.
That linebacking core, Latif, that you mentioned in the pregame, has played well. A nice punt that gets a Pekin roll down to the 23, or Morton will take over. But credit the Morton linebackers. You probably knew that Pekin was going to come into the game running the ball more than they would pass it. And their front 7 has been strong, as they've been all season long. And Morton also, they replaced a lot on their defensive line too. Zane Reiber, Connor Wagner, Ian Collins. Wagner, one of a couple returns, but Reiber and Collins stepping up this year. Funny story here, Latif, as Morton takes over first down. This week when I was filming each team for their intros, the ones that you saw presented by Bob Grimm Chevrolet, the Sunday Night Football style intros that we've done this year, I did those for Morton yesterday, and I was going to get to Morton's practice to film them at the end as another flag flies. But the problem is I was at the Mid-Illini Conference golf tournament covering it. They had an hour and a half, 2-hour rain delay, so it went longer than I expected. And I was going to plan on going down to Morton High School and catching them to practice, talking to head coach Adam O'Neill, and record the players saying their name, year, and positions. Well, I got there a little bit late because the golf tournament ran late. Also, by the way, congrats to the Morton Potters. They won the tournament. And on the boys' side, the team score of 313. Owen Adams was the medalist with a score of 73. I wrote a story on that on CSM Overtime. Head to clutchsportsIL.com/overtime to check it out, along with all of our other great stories. But back to the point, I was like, well, I gotta film these players somehow. And Adam O'Neill, the head coach, said, hey, going down to the American Legion. They're having a team dinner. So I head down to the American Legion building in Morton. I head down there in the basement. The ceilings are about 6.5 feet tall. And Ian Collins, who we mentioned a bit ago, is 6'5". His head was almost touching the ceiling as I was filming him, giving his introduction. That was quite the trip, a fun time I had there. I got to see a little bit of their team dinner and really, again, appreciate all the hospitality. Again, Sean Buffington invited me to stay for dinner. I know he's watching tonight. Really good chicken and mac and cheese I had there, and it's really fun getting to watch that as another flag. 1st and 25, and it's going to be more preset penalties on the Potters. Latif, at this point in the game, but you're not going to really maybe put the outcome in doubt with the false start penalties, but you got to clean those up as the season goes along.
Yeah, it's definitely something to look forward to, as far as season. You don't want to get sloppy here at the end, even though you're up 35-0. You want to preach discipline for the later parts of the season. But speaking of that, Potter offensive line been doing a great job throughout the entire season, leading the conference in rushing yards. And they have some big guys on that offensive line, like you said. Ian Connor, 6'5". Baylor Wilkinson, 6'3".
Hart goes deep, looks for Alexander. That's a big chunk play that will make the 1st and 30 now 2nd and manageable as Hart hooks up with Julian Alexander, his leading receiver this year. But back to your point, Latif.
Yeah, they got some big guys on the offensive line. Like we mentioned earlier, Ian Collins, 6'5". They got Kyler Meyer, 6'1". A lot of players over 6 feet on the offensive line. It helps them protect the running backs and the quarterbacks.
Trouble in the backfield for the Potters. They'll be wrapped up by number 72 in Black Blaine Thomas. That'll make it 3rd and long. But, Morton's really a school that takes offensive line play seriously. Our Cody Roskins, the broadcaster for Clutch Sports Media, always says that in high school football, you're only as good as your line is. Well, Morton's 5-0 record is a big reflection of how good their O-line has been. Hart looking to find Kruzik. Did he hang on? He didn't complete the process of the catch. Shout out Kelvin Johnson. That'll be a 4th down for Morton.
A great job by Pekin defense, not allowing Morton to pick up that 1st down after that big play on 1st and 30, and they hold strong and force the punt. It's just small moral victories you got to get at this point, being down 35-0. Stuff to build on, stuff to, we can watch back tape and say, this is something we did good. And so it's good to see that.
Certainly, as Reiber out to punt, and that one bounces at the 40. And, again, more great field position for the Pekin Dragons.
45-yard line, Dragons will set up 1st and 10.
Well, Latif, again, talking, about Pekin and wanting to just, build on little things. Their defense has played good. It really, if you take away 3 big plays, the run from Hart, the first score, the long touchdown pass just a couple minutes ago to Preston Berg, and then the pick 6 from Steffen. You take away the big plays, you're looking at a 14-0 game. Morton really hasn't had that many sustained drives that have ended in touchdowns.
Yeah, I haven't had that many drives that, where they methodically move down the field with their running game and passing game being very balanced. I think the Pekin defense has played well for the most part. And so you got to really go back to the drawing board, look at your offense not being able to capitalize on great field position, on defensive stops, stuff like that. And so you have to give some relief to your defense throughout the entire game. For a lot of this game, the Pekin defense got stops, and then it's a 3-and-out. And so they don't get the rest, and that's really important for defense to rest. If you're going to stop this modern offense that really is a ground and pound, tire you out type of offense.
It certainly is. It's been a long day for the Pekin defense. They've held up well for the most part. More flags. A first down run, a heck of a run there from Frank Warfield. Bounced off of a hit and fell forward for a gain of 6, but part of that may be coming back. And another false start on Pekin as number 52, A.J. Basone, the sophomore offensive lineman, checks in. And Dalton Sturch, the left tackle, checks out. Probably assumed that maybe he was possibly the one for that false start. So 2nd and 9 as we're approaching the midway point of the third quarter here at Pekin High School. 2nd and 9 for the Dragons. 3 wide receivers and Goss in the shotgun. He's got Hart to his left and the fullback Anthony Amorelli to the front and left of him. Hart tumbles forward, but that's still going to be a loss. Make it 3rd down. And like you said, Latif, back to our keys of the game. Stay on schedule with the sticks. Pekin has had a lot 3rd and longs tonight.
Yeah, now I wonder what the game plan is right now. Being down 35-0 in the 3rd quarter, about 6 minutes left. Are they looking to just finish the game? Are they practicing stuff they want to use throughout the rest of the season, or are they?
Goss is going deep, a 50-50 ball, and Morton wins it, another interception. This one is Brett Michael again. He's still on his feet, and he bounces off a hit. Oh, the ball is out. Oh, my word, and it goes out of bounds. It looks like Morton has it. Holy moly, what a play.
Yeah, before the big play, but yeah, Brett Michael, his, I believe, 4th or 5th interception this year has been great. At the linebacker spot, 4th interception of the year. That ball was criminally underthrown. He definitely was wide open down the middle, down the sideline. If he would have put that ball in front of him, it would have been a touchdown almost. And so, great stop right there by Morton. Another takeaway for this defense.
Goss was looking for Elijah Hart. And how about Michael, the linebacker, ran down the field deep in coverage. Usually those linebackers, they cover maybe about 10 to 15 yards, middle of the field. Michael was almost playing like a secondary member there. And 4 interceptions now on the season. Hart finds Clint Teeter, big hit near midfield. Laid down, the hit tackle by number 34, Bradley Hoover, who again has come in the spot of the injured middle linebacker Isaac Thomas. For Pekin, he came out with injury in the first half, and we have not seen him since. As Hart will throw again, looking down the sideline, he's got Berg in the same spot as last time. No touchdown this time around, but the Potters moving the ball through the air. Jude Hart has looked phenomenal with his arm tonight.
Yep, he's doing it with his dual threat ability to get outside the pocket, to rush with his legs, and has a good showing throwing the ball. Probably his best of the entire season, to be honest. That could have been a touchdown, a little bit underthrown, but nevertheless, it was completion.
Hart last week went 10 for 16, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick against Metamora. Don't have official stats right now, but can almost be guaranteed that he's exceeded that so far. On the year, he has 518 yards. That already exceeds last year's total for him, again, just through 4 games. So he's made a huge step up this year. Maybe potential all-conference for the Mid-Illini this year. You never know. Another false start for Morton will back him up. 1st and 15 now. It'll be 1st and goal. And they hand it up the middle. Rather, no, it's Hart with the keeper. And just like you said, he'll hurt you through the air. He'll hurt you with his legs. Jude Hart, his second touchdown scamper of the night. Pekin now leads by over 40.
What a game for Jude Hart. We hear all the talk about Shannon Buffington, Brett Michael on defense and offense. But Jude Hart has really had a breakout game today. Was the Clutch Sports Media Player of the game, so that's a great pick right there, John.
It's going to be very hard to pick anyone else other than Jude Hart. Had 2 touchdown passes, a couple touchdown runs. And it's now 42-0. And Latif, you know what that means is this game is going to end a little bit sooner than we thought. Running clock now going to be instituted. As you look at the Dragon scoreboard there with the Upstream Auto Group, another scoring drive for Morton. 3 plays and 55 yards. Only take 59 seconds off the clock. Latif, I got to say that scoreboard that Pekin has down there, it's not completely lit up right now. Maybe need to replace some fluorescence in there. But one of my favorite all around the area, that Dragon lit up, just looks amazing. So now Pekin really just, trying to scrap for any positives away from this game. And the Latif, the storyline, you don't want to mention it too much. You don't want to harp on the point too often, but this team has been scoreless for the last 10 and over 10 and a half quarters now. They got to find a way to score the football sooner or later. You got Metamora looming next week. You're going to need to put up some points against them. And in that same span, Pekin's given up quite a bit as well. Squib kick is fumbled and eventually brought in. This could be a big gain as Dylan Anderson. How about the freshman? The only one on Pekin's roster. Actually, there's 2 of them. Bray Korma being the other one. More great field position now for Pekin, Latif. They just got to hope that it's not the same result as it's been all game long for them so far.
A number of big returns, a number of drives started with good field position. Got to capitalize on this one. You felt the energy coming back a little bit into the crowd with that run. A lot of cheers. Let's see if they can use that energy to capitalize and score right here.
Crowd needing something to cheer about. Pekin looking to break their scoreless drought. Goss talks to his running back Hart and said this will be a reverse. Connor Martin, he's going to have trouble getting back to the line. Morton's defense swallows him up. He gets closer to the original line, but it'll still be a TFL.
Ball carrier number 44, Connor Martin. Going for a loss on the play. Brings up second down.
Now, front 7 from Morton have been all over Pekin's rushes, and when you take away Pekin's rushing attack, takes away a lot of their offense. Another give up the gut to Warfield, gain of about 3 or so. Pekin right now, Latif, they're kind of trying to figure out what's working at running back. They kind of have a running back by committee. We saw Elijah Hart. He was a starter, had 10 carries last week. Then you have Frankie Warfield, who has the second most carries, came in with 48 for 144 on the year. And then Connor Martin was the leading rusher with 54 carries for 227 yards. Goss throwing down, and a flag throw. That's going to be a pass interference call on number 67. That's Logan McCann, who's listed as a kicker, but playing in the secondary now for the Potters. We'll give him a pass on this one. I don't see many kickers trying to defend passes anywhere at any level of football.
Well, we spoke with Adam O'Neill, though. He told us about they have a lot of versatile athletes on this roster.
They do.
One of their best ones used to be a quarterback, so they have a lot of players who play both sides of the ball, a lot of great athletes, and that's because of the training that they put themselves through in the offseason.
That's a great point there. Again, this Morton team, you could almost say they're sort of positionless. You can put anybody anywhere. Julian Alexander, their wide receiver, likes to run. Brett Michaels, a linebacker who is put at the stat line of a secondary member. How about Elijah Hart? He makes a move, and Pekin will finally end their scoreless drought. Elijah Hart with a 25-yard touchdown scamper, and Pekin's finally on the board. Hart put the moves on Morton's defense, and that's the type of run that we're used to seeing from this Dragons offense, and we finally get to see it again.
Miley Hanson for the point after attempt.
A great moral victory right there for Pekin, giving them on the board. It's been a long time since they felt that excitement of a score from this crowd. Kind of reminiscent of the Giants in the NFL, had that lone scoring job being outscored. I think it was about 64-0. Really don't see that too often, so it's good to see them get on the board.
Well, Latif, your memory of NFL games is much better than mine. I can't recall it. I know the Giants aren't really the best team in the NFL, but I don't ever recall them being a 64-0 game. Was that recently?
It wasn't a 64-0 game. They lost 40-0 against the Cowboys, and the second game was the Cardinals. They were down like 28-0 before they scored.
So there you have it. Late game, you got to still feel good about scoring as we get another after scoring drive. The first one for Pekin today. 5 plays, 42 yards in 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Now make it 42-7. So Elijah Hart, that's got to feel good. His first touchdown of the year. Pekin hasn't scored a ton running the football this year. And they've struggled to score in general, being shut out last 2 weeks, but those runs from Hart, those are the ones that you'll remember. Now a little over 2 minutes to go here in quarter number 3. Pekin with some new life as Hansen kicks it away. And Kruzik takes it in at about the 11. And he is going to run into a swarm of Dragons. Nice tackle there by Pekin. And now the fans are starting to get back into it. 2 plays back-to-back. They have lots to cheer about.
Yep. So 2 straight plays where they can go back and take some value from this. A touchdown and then a great play right there on the kickoff.
Pekin's done a good job of preventing Morton from being in great field position. I'd have to guess, again, no official stats here, but I think Pekin would have the better starting average field position of both these teams. But Morton's been able to do more and sustain more drives, largely, at least more often than usual, through the air. Hart in the shotgun with 4 wide receivers and hands off. It's like that may have been Michael on the carry. He runs for short yardage. Like rather that was number 25 as Vian Seams for the Potters. He's played a bit this year, 6 carries for 29 yards coming into the game. So the backup's getting some work. Hart still leading the offense at quarterback. Some new faces at wide receiver. Aaron Garcia in the game, as is Lucas Drake. Another give to Seams, and he is swallowed up. Can't find a Seam. Make it 3rd and long. One thing about the running clock, Latif, is even once you get up to a 40-point lead, even if that lead becomes less than 40, the running clock still stays in effect. And I wish, at least Pekin probably wishes that wasn't the case, as running clock's still going. Probably should be the last play of the third quarter. That was intercepted. Connor Martin. He's got lots of room to run, and Martin's going to give Pekin great field position. Another big play. This time is Pekin's defense and Martin's first pick of the year.
Yep, so good job for Pekin, giving them the crowd something to cheer for. A lot of good moral victories in this, in this game. An interception, a touchdown that got them on the board, possibly another touchdown to take their to the score to 42-14. When they have been having trouble scoring over the last few weeks, it'll be good to get another score here.
The Dragons have a pulse. Stay tuned for the fourth quarter. We'll see if the Dragons can punch it in and make it a 4-score ballgame. We'll be right back here. It's Clutch Sports Media on CIProud.com.
How do you find your best Ford deal? Simple. See the Ford team at Uftring Ford, the big Ford store down by the river. New Fords are in stock now, and the deals are everywhere. Hurry in for thousands in savings on new F-150. Bring us your trade and get more towards any new Ford. UftringFord.com.
Mushanti Heating and Cooling specializes in commercial and residential heating and cooling services. We're a Tempstar dealer, but service all makes and models with products that always provide you the best solutions.
Give your local experts a call at Mushanti Heating and Cooling.
Local 649 is looking for the next generation of apprentices. Between our commitment to safety and detail and state-of-the-art training facility, you will find more than just a career, but a family, creating legacies since 1896.
It's time to get out and about with the help of Academy of Screen Printing and Awards, outfitting you for special events, youth sports, business wear, and shirts for the workplace, and school events. Academy of Screen Printing and Awards has you covered. Let us help you today.
And welcome back to Pekin Memorial Stadium, where the Dragons will now try and punch it in the north end zone as they switch sides. It'll be first and goal from the 7 after the pick from Connor Martin, new quarterback in the game for the Dragons. He runs up the middle as number 28, Isaac Thomas, who is their middle linebacker who was injured. He comes back into the game as the quarterback and nearly punches it in, now down to the 2-yard line. Peeking on the doorstep. Direct snap to Thomas again, run up the gut, and Thomas is in there. They took him off the field with injury earlier, but they can't keep him off of it, and they can't keep him out of the end zone either. Another touchdown for the Dragons. It's 42-13 now.
So you're in the scoring drought, and you tack on a little bit to that as well. Scoring 14 points on this Morton defense was a very good defense, one of the best in the mid-line right now. It's something to take home, something to be proud of, especially being down 35-0, showing some fight at the end of the game. And possibly add on to that to the end of the game.
Extra point from Miley Hansen is good. It's now 42-14. And, Doug Nutter said the exact same thing. He said, we've had some tough weeks. We've played some really good teams. But our guys, and you include Miley Hansen, our girl as well, never give up. And they always fight no matter what the score is. It showed there. So, again, it gives the fans something to cheer about, gives the players something to remember. Well, Isaac Thomas, the linebacker and quarterback, runs it in from 2. A 2-play scoring drive. They not 52 yards. I think that may have been from where the interception was, but it was only about 11 yards or so. Apologies there, but 50 seconds. 2 run plays from Isaac Thomas from 7 yards out. As you look at the pink out, they're going to sign there. Those houses across the street, I remember from Pekin's playoff run last year, they had tailgates in those. There was a huge fire pit, I believe, in that house with a white porch in that driveway. They really did it right. They watch the game, get the nice warm fire, watching playoff action from across the street. You hear the PA announcer. Maybe they were watching on Clutch Sports Media too. Certainly hope they were. That'd be a good place to watch a game. I'd love to live in a house that's right by a high school football field.
Hey, my first year last year with Clutch Sports, coming to Pekin was probably one of my favorite moments. It was definitely the energy around here was different. It was a lot more first down Pekins than what we seen tonight. But yeah, the energy was unmatched in what we've seen throughout the entire season.
And certainly it's, a tough act to follow up. I mean, they just had the best season in school history. No big deal, right? So tough for Pekin to, follow that up. And, I don't know if they were expecting to, go undefeated again this year. Every team has their years where they need to, sort of regroup and reload as the kick is away. And slipping, there is Trey Zobrist. So, again, Pekin's going to put Morton in tough field position. Maybe now maybe some backups in the game, maybe get some stops, maybe get another turnover, maybe make this game even closer. The biggest enemy for the Dragons right now is the running clock, I think. If that wasn't a factor, I think they'd still really be in this game if they could get a quick stop and score. And Connor Martin had that interception that was huge for them last drive. Hart's first pick of the game, his 6th of the season. Got a final score from the Big 12. Peoria High, big winners over Manual, 58-0. See what other scores we can find as the Morton offense back onto the field. Hart still a quarterback. And they give up the gut. Short yardage gain. The runner still on his feet. Won't be taken down. Latif, what do you think of Morton's upcoming schedule? They got Limestone, East Peoria, Dunlap, and Washington. 2 games that are pretty winnable and 2 games that are going to be dogfights.
I was just about to say 2 games that look like they should be favorites to win. Should get the job done. Move to will be 7-0, and then 2 blockbuster matchups coming up after that. So definitely want to end this game, getting some reps in, seeing what you can do against those teams, getting some execution in, staying on your toes because you have some big matchups coming in week. What would that be? 8 and 9.
8 and 9, correct. Yep. Yes, and as another short yardage gain was VN Seams again, getting a bulk of the carries now. Dunlap sort of in the same situation, Latif. They have their easiest portion of the schedule at the start. They're in a stretch where they're playing now Limestone, Canton, and East Peoria. But they have 3 really tough games to end the year in Washington, and then I believe Morton, and then Metamora to close it out. So they'll be tested near the end, as will Washington. So keep it out. When week 7 forward, you got to keep an eye on the middle line. I will probably have lots of action on ClutchSportsIL.com and CIProud.com of those games. Stay tuned to our social media channels. How about the pile still moving? What the heck? I've never seen a pile move so much. That was certainly something. I'll bring up a 4th down. I think Baylor Wilkinson from Morton was just trying to just pull everyone along with him. Wilkinson's a big fella, 6'3", 270. Did a good job of pulling his man Seams and the rest of the pile. 4th and 2. Morton figures, why not? Let's go for it. Man in motion, that's Zobrist. And that'll be another pre-snap penalty. That one looks like will be against Pekin. Offsides. That'll give the Potters a 1st down and keep them moving. And it's going to look real quick at Pekin's schedule. And they'll be at Metamora at Malone Field in their new turf next week. Game kicking off at 7:30. Then they have a host Canton. Then they'll be at Limestone. And then hosting East Peoria. Another 3 yards and not a cloud of dust tonight, more so some stains of mud. Not too muddy outside. Morton's jerseys are still pretty white for the most part.
Yeah, I thought this game would be a lot more running, but we got a lot of passing from both teams. It was raining a lot before the game started, so obviously the field is still pretty slippery. That's possibly why they not call it speed runs, because how slippery the field is.
And certainly, I think the field is also probably dried up a little bit. Looks pretty good, at least from up here in the booth. Pekin is one of only a few schools in the Mid-Illini that still has a grass field. Morton, Dunlap, East Peoria, Washington, all have turf fields. Pekin, Limestone, and Canton, I believe, are the only schools that still have natural grass. A lot of people still going to turf, and Letitia, I'm curious to hear what you think about it. Turf is a lot less maintenance and looks better. You get a lot more usage out of it. Although we've seen in the NFL, and also a little bit as well, it can cause some injuries as well. I don't know. I'm curious to see what your take is on that.
I was just about to ask your take, actually, before we start talking about it. Which one is more expensive? Is it turf?
Certainly the turf is more expensive at the start. There's a lot of costs up front, but you get more usage out of it. In the long run, if you have enough usage out of it, I think it may pay for itself. And also less maintenance as well as a run up the gut will make it 4th and short for Morton, but
Well, I'll say regardless of the price, I think player safety is probably at the forefront, or should be at the forefront of any school, institution, mindset when going into these decisions. I would say I would probably go with grass fields because I think players like grass fields more. It's shown to cause less injuries, and I think that's what we should be trying to do, make football safer. So I'll probably have to elect to go with the grass fields.
a lot of people kind of go both ways. It's kind of a watershed issue. Some people really like the turf, others like the grass. I know Morton, they said they're a lot more used to their turf. They have it over at Carper Field, so as a air horn was just sounded. See any fallout from that is. I don't know if maybe a student snuck one in, as there's lots of flags that have snuck into the broadcast tonight. And again, as you mentioned, if these referees are going to get paid per flag that they throw, I said they could retire early. I think at this point they could buy a mansion in Malibu at this point. That'll make it 4th down and 6. Morton will punt, so Pekin will get another shot probably with the football. Zane Reiber out to punt. He's kind of a multi-position athlete for Morton. Plays some tight end, defensive end, and also punter. And Hart brings the pressure. They almost get to him, but not quite. Bounces at the 38, takes a Morton roll, and keeps on going inside the 25. Now down to the 24. Morton having some fun with it. Julian Alexander says, wait till it stops. And this very well could be the last drive of the game. There's Cole Stoner. There's Pekin's athletic director. Taking in tonight's game. I'm sure he was hoping for a different outcome. But again, I appreciate the hospitality from Cole Stoner and everyone here at Pekin. Well, it's one of our favorite places to come here on Clutch Sports Media. Got a great press box, great fans, and really lots to like here from Pekin. If I say one thing, Latif, it goes back, I think, to the pork chop I had before the game. It was a decent pork chop, but the bone was a little flat. That's the only thing I'd really change. As this give goes to Frankie Warfield up to the 35. He took a stiff arm to the face.
Yeah, but it looks like it's another flag out there. One of the biggest themes of this game, all of the mistakes by each team, hasn't really came out to bite Morton. Well, he picked it up. Maybe they're not called. Oh, they are calling it. Okay.
The flag was on Morton. Maybe could have been maybe illegal hands to the face as Warfield took a hand right to the top of the helmet, the top of his face mask. Al Miggett up to the 49. That may have been a defensive face mask. So near midfield, Pekin still driving. Backups in the game. We'll see what they can do. A little taste of the future. Made in motion is Eli Swanson, the senior, but instead they give it up the gut. Nice run here from Warfield up to the 43. Pickup of about 8.
Ball carrier Frank Warfield. On the stop, number 89, J.J. Barnes for the Potters. Dragons move the ball into Potter territory at the 43-yard line.
Time continuing to tick. We'll wrap things up at the conclusion of this game. Take a final look at scores around the area. Pass incomplete.
Pass attempt incomplete.
New quarterback Owen Gordon. The new junior quarterback for the Dragons. Maybe looking into their future as Luke Goss is a senior, so maybe Gordon maybe as their early lead and being their starting man next year. Going back to all the scores from around the area, I want to remind you to subscribe to CSM Overtime. It'll give access to all of our written content, including daily roundups, some scores from around the area from all sports. You get feature stories, news as well. Yeah, if you're a Morton fan, I wrote a big, long story on the Mid-Atlantic Conference Championship, which Morton won. Got to talk to Owen Adams, their lowest scoring golfer, and Jamie King, their head coach. That's some good Pekin content on there as well. Before the season, we had 31 in-depth football previews. And again, all the stuff that you see is in-depth. It's well thought out. CSM Pickham is a big hit as down the field he was looking for Dominic Hawkins, the senior. Couldn't quite connect. That would have been the cherry on top for Pekin.
Yep, they got a few good plays in this game. Scoring 21 points would have done wonders for their mental going into the rest of the season, and connecting on a big play. When they had a lack of explosive plays throughout this entire season, would have been good for them as well.
Yeah, they'll get one more chance to get one. The snap is over his head. And this is not going to be an explosive play, rather a big loss to end the game. And that will do it from Pekin. Morton takes a big halftime lead. They hang on in the second half. They win 42-14. We'll take a quick break. Come back and wrap things up here from Pekin Memorial Stadium. You're watching Clutch Sports Media on CIProud.com.
The Jansen Law Center has protected Illinois citizens for over 40 years with regard to dangerous drugs and has taken on the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world and have won cases for Illinois residents.
Jay Jansen. One name says it all.
When they drop them off, we put them in your driveway at Uftring Weston Chevrolet because the models you've been waiting for are here today with our best offers of the year. Right now, get 2.1% financing on new Trailblazer, Traverse, and Blazer at Uftring Weston Chevrolet in Peoria. UftingWeston.com.
Mushanti Heating and Cooling specializes in commercial and residential heating and cooling services. We're a Tempstar dealer, but service all makes and models with products that always provide you the best solutions.
Give your local experts a call at Mushanti Heating and Cooling.
You dream it, we'll deliver it at Academy of Screen Printing and Awards. Your promotional goods delivered on time, every time, with a local trusted team here for you.
Stop in and see us at Academy of Screen Printing and Awards.
The Titanic, only at Michael's Italian Feast.
And welcome back to Pekin Memorial Stadium. Morton 42-14 over the Pekin Dragons. And Latif, the Potters are now playoff eligible, 5-0 on the season. And look to keep on building, add more wins to that total. But it was a big win, maybe not as close as maybe they had expected. Maybe they did, you never know. It's still got to feel really good because you're probably going to the postseason at this point.
Yep, and they said try to manifest being the best team in modern history. Had that team a few years back where they went to the, I believe, second round of the playoffs. They're
semifinal round.
Yep, they're very well on their way. They got a few big matchups to end the season, I guess, against Dunlap and Washington. If they're able to win out, possibly, then they will go into the playoffs being one of the best teams in modern history. Did it on the ground, did it through the air. Quarterback was scrambling a lot, did it on defense, causing turnovers, still creating chaos. A classic Morton win tonight.
Yeah, you certainly put it well there. A classic Morton win. They did it in all phases of the game. That's gonna make Morton a very tough team to beat this year. Sheldon Buffington, he said it's going to be, key player for Morton, and he certainly was. Tonight had a really good game, but they didn't rely solely on him as much. That's going to be a dangerous sign for the Mid-Illini because if Morton can throw the ball behind a good offensive line, they gave Jude Hart lots of time to throw and lots of time to roll out. Hart picking up 2 rushing scores, a couple ones passing as well. I think he's probably going to be our WMBD player of the game, but again, really complete effort from Morton tonight. And, Pekin, I think they started out well. They played well in the first. They played well in the fourth. But in between, it's sort of where they fell apart. Penalties hurt them and the inability to move the chains despite their good field position.
I think it was an energy thing. You see your defense go out there and get stops in the beginning of the game, and then your offense is not able to capitalize. It really brings down your morals. It just tires you out really, really fast. And so they were able to keep up with Morton in the beginning of the game, but being able to, not capitalize on offense really came out to bite them.
Certainly, again, real quick, we'll take a quick look at scores around the area. And, again, a reminder, you can get all the scores from tonight's action when they all come in and a little recap of most of them on CSM Overtime tonight in our roundup. Stay tuned for that. We'll have that and much more written coverage. Some really cool feature stories coming out as well. But again, looking at scores from around the area, a couple of finals that we have. Hayworth beats Fieldcrest in small school action. A big win for the Hornets, 29-28. Tri-Valley up 31-13 on El Paso Gridley. And to wrap up the HOI action, Eureka, big winners over DMAC, 42-8. That was our CSM game of the week, so congrats to the Hornets on a big win. In the Big 12, again, as we mentioned, Peoria High, big winners over Manual. And last time we checked, Normal West leading big over Richwoods. See if we can find a score on Bloomington and Normal Community here at some point. Dunlap leading big over Limestone. 47-6, the final score just coming in now from Bartonville. Again, Metamora played Canton. No final score so far from there yet. Normal U-High, big winners over Landfear, 68-6. IVC falls to Prairie Central, and Bloomington Central Catholic dominates over Toledo Unity, 42-14. And we'll see if we can get some scores from the Big 12. P&D Jacksonville, that was going to be a really close game. Take a scroll through Twitter. Normal Community up 34-0 over Bloomington. Kyle Beatty just find Marquand Geary for another touchdown. Elmwood, Brimfield, and Farmington is a close one. Farmington leads 30-26 with 3:07 left in the game. Jacksonville, last time we checked, starting the fourth quarter, was up 22-21 over P&D. So those are some close games. Didn't really have a close one here tonight, but Morton, big winners. They advance to 5-0 and stay undefeated. Pekin falls to 1-4. That about wraps it up from Pekin Memorial Stadium. I want to give a huge shout out to all of our Clutch Sports media crew. Did a great job tonight. Our producer, Joshua Messenger, directing for the first time, Charlie Schermerhorn, and our camera operators, Teddy Ball, Ethan Carboni, and Patrick Huber. Paco Alonso is roaming the sidelines, taking some great pictures and providing social media updates. Stay tuned to our social media channels at Clutch Sports IL on Twitter and Clutch Sports Media on Instagram for all the recaps and best photos and videos from the game. For my broadcast partner, Chief Love, I'm Jonathan Michael saying so long from Pekin. And thanks for tuning in to this presentation of the WMBD Game of the Week here on CIProud.com. Hope to catch you next week. Stay tuned to our social media channels and see where we're going to be. Until then, so long, folks. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Friday.